Another year in and another game to do. Well, today it's going to be, finally, Kingdom Hearts 3. Unless my laptop's up to it.
What? How was that?
Guess I'm going to have to do this one instead, unless the laptop can really get itself together. Sonic Mania is one of the few games I love due to the fact what legacy it is based upon. Sonic 1, which is one of the very first games I ever played way back in 1991 to 1992. I've then played all the Mega Drive classics, apart from CD and Knuckles Chaotix. I had to wait a good number of years to play them because my mum and dad didn't really want to splash the cash for a CD drive for the Mega Drive, or they just couldn't be bothered going to Curry's, Comet, or whatever else to go find Chaotix. I heard it was not a great game, I still haven't played it to this day, I really don't want to play that game. But as much as I like to dust off Sonic 1 on the Mega Drive, I thought I'd go a wee bit differently and review one of the latest releases in the Sonic franchise, and well, the best one in the latest couple of years. Sonic Mania. By far, one of the best Sonic games in the franchise yet.
On July 17, 2018, Sonic Mania was released for digital download on a range of platforms: Windows, PS4, Xbox One, and the Nintendo Switch. The game was in development since 2015 under its development title, Sonic Discovery, being headed up by programmers outside Sega, Simon Tomley and Christian Whitehead. These two were mostly due to their experience from their ROM hacks in the Sonic community and porting the original Sonic 1 and 2 onto Android and iOS. This game was teased alongside another Sonic game, Sonic Forces, and even though there was more to the 3D Sonic trailer, the fans were more drawn to the prospect and the teasing of a 2D Sonic game that harkened back to the good old days. Eventually the game got a trailer and was met with such delight and much excitement that it felt like the old Sonic blasted back from the 90s and was here to stay. When the game was finally released, we were not disappointed. Like I said, it was like Sonic was back and all the other Sonic games released after Sonic and Knuckles were just made up fan fiction.
Her heart pounding in her chest. Penny said to Banana Joe, "Let's never split."
With all that aside, the game not only boasted to hold up to the classics but even outdo them. It would be no small feat as these were big bridges that the game had to fill, that only Sonic Advance trilogy came close to doing. Now before I go and cover the game, I will stress there are some good Sonic games that came after the classics, but sadly it's outweighed by subpar efforts and even the sheer disappointment in the series is plagued by. But with this game, hopefully Sega will sit up and actually take notice and keep the retro classic games going from now on, because that's what the fans really want. Probably not though. With the plot of the game going back to being super simple, Dr. Ivo Robotnik,
my full name is Dr. Ivo Robotnik,
rocking his old classic look, digging up the relic, the Phantom Ruby, on Angel Island, and now is going to fuel his evil plans for world domination, and it's up to Sonic once again to stop him by doing the normal, run, jump and through many zones by getting to the end goal and taking on a mini boss. These are normally the robots from the hard-boiled crew, new bunch of villains, so well, hey. Then on to the main boss of the zone, being Robotnik himself sporting some gimmick. It's not all cut and copy from the originals, as this game has many different things happening, from the many layers of a level, hidden Easter eggs, callback to zones or enemies, remixes of new and impressive tracks, even the animations of everything. From that big list, I really want to talk about the levels, as it's typical fashion for Sonic to follow a chain of zones with its variety of themes and enemies, as not only harks to old stages such as Green Hill Zone, but even new and unique zones such as the Studiopolis Zone. These zones are split into two acts with a progression to them, as there are transitions from one act to the next and one zone to the other. These transitions harken back to not only Sonic 3, but actually have an improved sense to them, as you do feel like you're going from one area to another. Each zone's background has a high level and a low level to it. It will change upon reflection to show the player the height or the depth that they are in the zone. The best example of this is Green Hill Zone. It's one of the classic favourites and that has the most noticeable change. You start upon this middle ground, which is familiar, with its background of waterfalls and many islands in the distance, to then changing to a cavern deep down below or even higher up, where you barely get to see the water anymore and just the far off mountains. Typically the second act of a zone will change as well with its background and its theme, mainly because Chemical Plant Zone is the most noticeable for this for me. As Act 1 starts you outside, running around, and Act 2 has you inside the actual chemical plant because there's a lot of new mechanics to it and also a lot of new background, sprites, and new encounters to enemies. This makes it a lot more fresher than running around a rehash of a new area.
That's the way it should have been tackled. However, the 2 zones I have mentioned have featured in other Sonic games, and one of the other Sonic games I want to actually mention is Sonic Generations. Now before I get that horde outside my house with the pitchforks and the torches, I must stress Sonic Generations is a great game. Boring, but great. It's actually a wonder how it took 24 years for Sega to actually turn around and go, we're going to make a 2D Sonic and then every zone is going to be so memorable and lovable that all the 3D versions of it are crap. It's a wonder it took that long. Now I'm going to get back to the review, but I'm going to go outside and see if that horde's outside my window yet.
Throughout the zones, the game's difficulty does start to rise and ramp up in challenge. This can also be seen through Titanic Monarch and Starlight Speedway. The fast speed and platforming is broken up into small jump puzzles and even new mechanics with enemy placements. That requires the player to be cautious instead of bolting through fast as they can. Now if the player is careful and cautious enough, there is bonus stages and special emerald stages to trigger. To locate the bonus stages, it's a callback to the Sphere stage in Sonic & Knuckles. Personally, these are hell. Due to my color blindness and not being able to see red, these rely on memory and fast thinking with the reactions. When you complete one, you'll be rewarded with a silver or gold medal. Attaining certain amount unlocks fun modes. My favourite one is Knuckles and Knuckles mode. That is honestly worth the challenge to unlock. And then there's the emerald stages. These are another callback to Sonic R, as you're a low poly Sonic chasing a UFO around a track. You need to catch it well within the time, but these get very difficult very fast. But at the same time, these are also super fun to play. But when you get all 7 Dragon Balls, I mean Chaos Emeralds, you unlock Super Sonic, and that is even worth the challenge to get. Throughout the zones, there are multiple paths that cross over each other, and some paths that have certain robots and other certain obstacles to get past. My favourite Easter egg is one of the robots found in Press Garden. It's a robot called Splats. It's an enemy that was originally from Sonic 1 who was cut out from the final product. It's now been repurposed for this zone and has finally come out the vault of forgotten and never used. The soundtrack is so good. To sum it up, instead of bland, repetitive tracks from previous Sonic games, the best way it can be summed up,
Butt rock.
to play in the back of their mundane, bad game. But with Sonic Mania, the soundtrack is so good. It's off the bat intro track, Friends, gets you pumped for an adventure. Each zone has 2 tracks, one per act, not only using the old tracks that have been remastered and getting an amazing reboot to it, but the second act also has a track that is equally as great. To sum up, it's like eating a chocolate cake, but then it's a double chocolate cake after, that's so rich and smooth. That's how good these tracks are. I know when I'm listening to the soundtrack whilst playing, it feels so good to be running and jumping to the beat that it's almost like music's linked to any movement. Now it would end here, but eventually the game was updated and released on disc. The game's now getting called Sonic Mania Plus. And this did add a lot more from the original release, making it a great game even better. To start off with, the inclusion of Mighty, the Armadillo, and Ray, the Flying Squirrel, 2 characters who have been established in the Sonic universe but haven't been seen after their initial debuts. But they're back with their own unique style of playing around the zones. Personally, I love Mighty due to the ground pound and you can walk over spikes without fear. Not only the inclusion of new characters, a new mode was included as well, called Mania mode. This was also unique. Instead of X amount of lives on a normal mode, this allows the players to cycle through all the characters that were playable. When a character dies in the game, the player has to obtain them back by breaking the character box that had replaced the life box in the zones. Talking of the zones, in addition, they have a bit more tweaking and shifting around in places so that the mode is still providing some new content and challenge.
So with Sonic Mania actually being dubbed the successor to all the 2D series, it gets me wondering one thing. Why is there such a divide between the actual fans that love the 2D run and jump against the 3D blurry mess? I mean, to me, I actually like this game a lot more in the 2D way of things because it breathes life back into a dying series that was full of monotonous crap releases that were just push shovelware sometimes. And honestly, shoot the messenger for saying it, but I believe that this should be the way they go from now on. Never back to what it was. I mean, take for example Mega Man. It went in a similar direction, going 3D and then jumped straight back to 2D. Look at Mega Man 11, how popular that is over like any of the Legends series or the 3D ones I've tried. Trust me, I've played the one with Axel, which is Mega Man X8, 9, 6, 7, 4, 3, something. It was by the fans, for the fans. Overall, I couldn't ask any better for a 2D successor, and hope that they're going to do a 2D sequel to the successor and keep this train going. That's my opinion, and that's why I love it so much that I've bought it over 3 different consoles and collector's editions. Mainly because it's revived my love from when I was young to now. There seemed to be no difference. It was like he was back, boom, hey, yeah, remember when you used to eat Frosties playing this? So the only thing left I have to say about this game is save it. Now I'm going to go off out and look out that window and see if that horde's there bashing down the door. Hey people, thank you very much for watching this video. I am so sorry this took like a wee while to do. I don't know what's going on with the lighting about this whole entire thing. Yes, I have released this on my actual birthday. I deliberately made this lengthy wait between the last video and now. I don't know if I'm doing a 3-minute review in between or not, so watch out for anything that happens. If you like all this stuff, watch out for further videos coming out. I've got people helping me on actually a new series in the memory card titles called Timelines, which is actually going to be based on Sonic. It's going to be pretty damn good. Really confusing, but we're getting there. So, subscribe, like, go check out the Facebook because it keeps you up to date with me rambling and raging and probably sharing screenshots of me playing Apex. Going, look at me, I did well! 18 out of 20. Anyway, people, thank you very much for watching. Catch you around for the next video. Memory card.